All right. Zoomcast number 5. Got two guys here. A lot of sports knowledge. Got Chris Payne, Rudolph Elgin graduate, alumni, currently on the staff at AC Flora, baseball. Wes Mitchell, Gamecock Central. You probably saw him yesterday on Facebook answering questions. And I know that we all have questions about what's going on with sports, particularly football coming up, but with C-Payne as well, baseball. So I'll start with Chris. Chris, went through conditioning, got ready. I know you guys played in a preseason invitational tournament, did really well, and then the season's supposed to start that I guess second week of March or whatever it is, and then it's over, and we think it's a 2-week shutdown, and you've been shut down ever since. Also a teacher, so out of school as well. What do you think is going to happen? And I don't want any inside intel, and this goes for Wes too. If you know something you don't want to tell, just in your opinion, what's going to happen here? Is there any chance they play baseball? And more importantly, what do you do? I know a lot of your guys have already signed, committed. What do you do for the senior baseball players who may have had a shot to get some looks, to get a possible scholarship or offer a baseball? So what are y'all doing as a whole? What's going on in the high school baseball world right now from your perspective?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not going to say this stuff kind of came out of nowhere, but I think that we were kind of rolling along with our season up until about a week or two before this happened. And then that's the first time we really even said anything about it. I don't know if we were oblivious or what, but we were having a really good season. I mean, we actually still are undefeated at this point with our season. We finished up at the Greenville Drive Stadium with a nice win over a really good Riverside team, and that was the day. And they did a really classy thing up there. They recognized the seniors from both teams because that was the weekend going into the unknown. So that was a really, really classy move by the organization up there to do that. But to answer your question, as of right now, from an official level, no decision has been made with the high school league or school. As it stands right now, to date, school is shut down until May 1st, and that's when we're scheduled to go back. And the same for sports, I'm assuming. And I was told yesterday that the high school league is going to be meeting a week from tomorrow, I believe, to make some more decisions. So to tell you what I think, I hate to sound cliche, but there's so much unknown for everything. I really don't know. I mean, I really, truly don't know. I mean, as of right now, we're scheduled to go back May 1st. And when they tell us to go back, we'll go back and we'll try to play games again, whether all the spring sports. To answer your other question about what we've been doing, I mean, really, we've just as a staff been checking on our players and families and really just making sure that their well-being is good and they're home and safe and making really good decisions. At first we just like everybody that works and has families, we really didn't know what to do. So we've really just been communicating with our players, our staff, our families, making sure that they're good to go on all fronts. And from everything I've heard, everyone seems to be pretty well off right now with everything. And as far as our seniors, your heart just breaks for this situation for any senior in any sport. They're not getting a chance to do things. But to answer your question about guys getting looks, I think that if there's a kid, whether it's a senior at AC Flora or anywhere, any school, that if they want to have an opportunity, I think all college coaches, I mean, everyone's in the same boat. They're going to be realistic to understand, well, maybe this kid didn't have a senior season to have an opportunity. So I think common sense is really just going to take over. When college is starting to fall, if there's a senior baseball or soccer or whatever spring sport it is, they're going to have an opportunity. I think college coaches are really just going to have some common sense with this.
That's good. I'm hoping they come back, but I just don't know if there's enough time, especially with scheduling. I know some of the Legion baseball is already canceled. It's a tough time for spring sport players. Like you said, their senior year, but just playing in general, there's nothing else to do that would give at least a release. Wes Mitchell, Gamecock Central, had a big event this weekend. Talk to me about how you put this together. Will Muschamp came out with the hero program, feeding the heroes, the front line nurses, doctors, and such. I think we lost Chris. Anyway, so how did it go from you and the Muschamp Foundation to Patrick Davis to Columbia Craft Brewery to putting this whole thing together to raise money for a great cause that Will Muschamp could probably sit back at the house at Lake Murray and just let this thing pass. He, don't really care, but he's on the front line trying to help the front line. And how did all this thing come together with all those people raising money for the heroes on the front line?
Yeah, it was really cool how it came together, man. And I appreciate you having me on today. I've been watching some of your other ones before we came on this morning, so I appreciate you having me. Yeah, it really just came together just very, very easily, honestly. I mean, I think like everybody, we're all sort of like sitting around trying to figure out what we're going to do with our time right now. And one thing about there not being games or anything to cover, no like in-person recruiting stuff to cover, is that we've still been putting out content, but it's also given us a little more time to like just think and sit around. And I saw that Patrick, and I know the two of you obviously have known Patrick Davis, and he's a Kershaw County boy, and I know he's a big Gamecock, and I've been a fan. Just whenever I saw his music video for Big Old Cock back in the day, I've been a fan of him. So I had met him in person for the first time back in December, and sort of just stayed in touch a little bit. And I was actually, this was last Wednesday, I saw that he had been doing these Facebook live streams and stuff, and I know Patrick's big into fundraising and helping his community. So Wednesday night, I was thinking about it just laying down, and I texted Patrick Thursday morning. I was like, man, what if we did just a Facebook concert and tried to raise some money for a charity? I was like, I saw Coach Muschamp had this charity that he was doing. We could tie it into that. And he was like, well, are you free to talk? I said, yeah, sure. So he called me like within the hour. We chatted for like 25 minutes, and he told me about the Stage It platform that they have. And he's like, we could do it on Facebook, but if we're really trying to raise some money, basically this would be the best way to do it, because when people get on Facebook, they just expect it to be completely free, whereas Stage It offers more of a platform where it's encouraging people to donate and tip and stuff like that. So I was like, well, let's do it, man. And at the time, I hadn't talked to Muschamp or the school or anything like that. It was just a very organic, like, hey, let's just do it. And I had told Patrick, I was like, look, man, I know that you guys are losing your livelihood as well, because y'all can't do concerts, right? Like, you can't do in-person concerts. So I was like, but I don't I don't know what you normally charge. I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around to, pay for you to come on, or, are you willing to just, how can we do this? And he's like, well, I'll do it for free and do it off tips if I have to, which I think said a lot about him. I was like, well, let me try to get a sponsor. I was like, if I can get a sponsor, I'll turn around and we'll, use that to help support you a little bit. So I had been talking to Columbia Craft about advertising with us for a couple months on Gamecock Central, but we had put it on hold until after all this COVID stuff is over, hopefully. So I just reached out to them. I was like, hey, I don't know if y'all have any money right now. I don't know if you're interested, marketing money. I mean, I don't know if you're interested in this or not. But here it is. I was like, literally just sort of name your price if you want to be involved. And they were like instantly just like, okay, we're in, let's do it. So they sort of gave me a little bit of baseline money so that I could make sure that Patrick was going to get taken care of. And Patrick was like, look, man, we'll give all the proceeds from tickets to the Feed Our Heroes Fund. And, Stage It has a way for people to tip the performer on there. And Patrick was like, look, even though that's going to me, straight to my fund, he's like, I'll turn around, I'll give half of what's sent directly to me back to the fund as well. So because of that, we were able to were able to get, I think it was because Stage It takes their fee off the top, obviously, but because they have to sort of host everything technology wise. But we made a little over $1,000, I think, directly off of ticket sales, and then we were able to add another $2,400 into that, which was half of the tips going towards Patrick. So, dude, it was awesome. Like, I had no idea what was going to happen with it. Patrick ended up coming on and playing for like 2 hours, taking requests. We had Ryan Brewer on there. Steve Tannehill was on there. Really was a fun time. So I honestly think it may be something, now that I've seen how it works. It may end up being like just the first annual one of these things we do. We haven't really talked details, but I had a blast. I'm sorry I'm going like way long-winded on you here, man, but I think it's something that we could probably put together every year and maybe grow it into something and just pick a different charity each year, I think, man.
I think it's a great thing. I mean, I think, we talk about all these people who are going through this, and I think we really need to support the first line defenders that are in the battle, every day, the nurses, the doctors, everybody who's doing this. And I think it was cool for Muschamp to step up, and then for you guys to follow in line, and then for Patrick to be willing to do that. And I'm sure it probably was beneficial to Columbia Craft at some point to being like the sole sponsor. So everybody who watched this thing saw Columbia Craft. A lot of people may not know about Columbia Craft on the beer scene in Columbia, with their brewery downtown. But I know they got 6-packs all around, grocery stores and stuff now. So they're getting bigger and bigger. So it's definitely probably a boost for them guys too, since you can't go in and sit and drink a pint, like you generally could back in the day. And they got a good looking building down there. Downtown, right? I don't know what street is that.
It's
right behind
Green Street, technically.
Yeah, behind Colonial Center, right up from the Colonial Center. So that's cool. That's a cool thing, man. And I know Coach Muschamp catches a lot of heck for the 4-8 season and this, that, and the other, but you got to commend guys who do stuff they don't have to do, and he didn't have to do anything. He could just sit back and chill and collect his money, but it's pretty cool to see him on the front lines as well.
Yeah, it has been. He sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was saying it's been cool to see that, and he he was on a radio show this morning in Charlotte, and they kind of baited him a little bit into maybe talking about other coaches and what they've been not doing, or taking private jets, talking about we got to get players back as fast as possible, of course, with Mike Gundy and his comments as well. And, of course, he's not going to really comment on that. But it was kind of interesting that Muschamp and Carol, his wife, who I think deserves credit too, they were literally at the hospitals helping deliver some of this stuff while some other coaches are taking private jets and sort of taking their vacation. So I think it does, anybody that's has a chance to be around Muschamp, he is a very genuine dude. So obviously we all see the football side, and I think he'd be the first to tell you they got to start winning more than 4 games a year. But if you look at just Muschamp in the community and knowing what being the head coach at a major university means as far as what you mean to your community, I think he takes that part of it very seriously.
I agree. All right. Get off the serious part. We'll get into what this show is all about. The guy talk, I guess. The coronavirus, like Chris, doesn't have the baseball practice every day, doesn't have the school. Wes, you don't have the meeting up with recruits and probably hanging around the university as much. A lot of shelter in place going on. So what have you binge watched? What is your I'll start with Chris. What's your go-to? What are you doing to pass the time? I mean, there's no any sports whatsoever. So what's your Netflix or podcast or old, videos or movies or whatever? What are you doing to pass the time?
Well, I've never been really a binge watch guy, but I jumped on the bandwagon with everybody else, and I got through Tiger King pretty quick. That's probably the most compelling thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm not even kidding you. I've never seen anything like that. But I will say this, and I'll give you a few others, but I ran across one last night. I can't say the exact name of it on this show, but don't mess with cats. I don't know if y'all have heard of that one. It's a different
I've
word.
seen.
Okay, so don't say anything because I'm down 2 episodes and I want to start the third last night, but wife was falling asleep, so I decided to wait till last night. That one to me, and this is just my opinion, I think it's better than Tiger King because it attracts me more from a suspense standpoint. Tiger King was entertaining because what is 12, 14 hours from here, that is real life. I mean, that's just amazing to think about. But I mean, that's pretty incredible to think about. All that went on in that series is incredible. But really, you know, I have a 7-month-old daughter that I've been spending a lot of time with, which has been great. My wife's also a teacher, so she's been home, and you know, we've been staying busy. You know, we go on walks every day and do a little mini projects around the house, holding the baby girl a lot, which you know, Wes, you know, Wes and I are good friends, and Wes was her first time babysitter for a long time. So she's been missing out on some Uncle Wes for a while. But really, you know, man, I like I said, I don't binge watch a lot. I YouTube a lot, and been watching a lot of old Braves games. Just watched the Carolina football game today. As a matter of fact, one that I'll talk about probably later. But you know, just really watching a lot of Braves and Gamecocks on YouTube. Watching a lot of just high school baseball stuff on YouTube. Just, you know, drills and stuff. Just trying to keep myself sharp for whenever we do go back. Whenever I go walking in the morning, I'm listening to a wide variety of wrestling podcasts, to Hall of Fame speeches, to whatever I can do to just pass the time. But yeah, that's pretty much sums up what I've been doing from an entertainment standpoint. And then, you know, to piggyback, I didn't get a chance. Saturday night was probably the most exciting time I've had since this COVID thing because, you know, Wes did a great job of setting that up with Patrick Davis. And, you know, I've always been a Patrick Davis fan ever since he was playing at Lafayette in Camden in 2003. You know, I mean, I've always been a big fan of his work. And I don't know Patrick on a personal level. His late brother Roger Roger was about a year or two older than me, I believe. And he and I had a strong acquaintance of friends, and we hung out a few summers back in the day. And I thought the world of Roger, and that was obviously a tragic situation. But I've always been a fan of Patrick and his music, and I just thought Saturday night was perfect for what everybody needed. And just everything was perfect, from the way it was produced, from the way it was set up, the music. I mean, we sat on the back porch and the weather was great, and we enjoyed some refreshments from Columbia Craft herself. But, you know, that just want to make sure I gave Wes a good shout out there for that. But yeah, man, pretty much that's been it. It's been Tiger King, and then this latest show I'm going to finish up tonight, and a lot of just 90s Braves, 2000s Gamecocks, and a little bit of wrestling here and there.
Wes, I'm gonna ask you this before you get into your binge. Have you seen Tiger King?
I have not. I've watched like 15, 20 minutes of it. The first time I tried, I could not get into it, but I feel almost like it's my duty as a citizen that I have to watch it just because everybody, like, this thing is everywhere, man. So I haven't. I've been on some other stuff that we'll talk about, but I feel like I have to watch it.
Okay, well, give me your list, and then I'll try to put a close on this binge thing. But go ahead, what you've been doing since your normal every day is not the same right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, work-wise, we haven't, like you said, we haven't been able to get out, but most of it has been similar. I mean, we've still been just sort of pounding out the content when we can. So work hasn't really changed that much. The gym time stuff has changed a lot. Obviously, I miss being able to go hang out with my gym people and get in my daily stuff. But binge-wise, I've been on this show Homeland. I don't know if y'all have seen that before. It's originally on Showtime. It's about the CIA and this prisoner of war that comes home from war, and they're trying to find out if he's been turned by the enemy or not. And there's like 8 seasons of it. They're all on Hulu, and it's originally on Showtime, but they're on Hulu now. So I've been rolling through that. Like I said, I'll have to hit Tiger King at some point. That's pretty much it as far as that. I'm like Chris. I've been trying to watch some old games. By the way, Chris mentioned old Braves games. there's like three or four Greg Maddux games are on today. It's like Greg Maddux Day on MLB Network. They're going to have like 3 or 4 of his best outings ever. So I may turn that on. But honestly, guys, I mean, I miss the live sports so bad right now because it's awesome to go back, especially the older games, you know, especially if it's from when we were so young that I really don't remember details. That can be fun to fill the time, but it's just completely reiterated to me that there is nothing quite like watching sports live and not knowing what's going to happen, just the thrill of seeing something happen when you have no idea that your team's about to hit a walk-off 3-run bomb or no idea that you're about to lose on a 3-run bomb. Like I miss just the feeling of being pissed off because my team lost, you know, like all that stuff. Like, I mean, who would have ever thought we'd be missing all that from all sports at the same time? It's been crazy, and I miss it so much right now.
Oh, I agree. And that's the thing with me. I love sports. No matter what, my day is usually planned around, especially this time of year, because there's always a day baseball game. When I come home, there's going to be a game. There's always generally the Braves at 7 or around there, and then we get, if it's a decent matchup, I can still get a 10:30 game West Coast, and then March Madness, the Masters, all that stuff, and NBA playoffs will be kicking off here soon. There's always something, you know, plus a NASCAR race, UFC, a boxing match. There's always like you said, live sports. I'm not an Olympic sports guy, but I'll watch the Olympics. I mean, that's a month-long thing of something that can draw your attention. Tiger King, for me, it's the only thing I've ever seen that transcends everybody. Black, white, rich, poor, regular Joe athlete. I mean, on Twitter, it's a phenomenon from, and maybe this is because basketball guys aren't playing right now or baseball players aren't, but it's athletes, it's actors. Everybody has, and like Chris said, it's not a great thing. It's just captivating because these are real people. And it's just a weird thing. I loved it. I'm not going to lie. I mean, not because I thought it was great or anything, but this is just, you got 12 or 15 characters that's just out there. And, you know, the other one you're talking about, the Don't Mess with the Cats, I watched that, and you're right. I had no intentions of wanting to watch this. My girlfriend cut it on. I'm like, all right. And then I'm like, what's going to happen now? And then it's a modern day sleuth kind of thing where they track these people, you know, or whatever. You'll see that coming. And Wes, I know you hadn't seen it. If you got some time to kill and this is something that this works on your brain, maybe give it a look. And I'm not a proponent telling you need to watch Tiger King, but I think it's fascinating. And you've probably never seen anything. Chris is from Lugoff, so he's probably seen something similar with some weirdos around here. But it's a whole different world. It's a little north, up Highway 1 north there a little bit. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a little Tookie-Doo-ish.
Yeah, Tookie-Doo-ish for sure. So
and Wes is from Hickory Grove in York, so he understands.
Okay.
He would understand. Okay. He would understand a lot of it.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, you've been in the house. We can't go out. What's the one thing, Wes, I'll start with you. What's the one thing you're going to do the day this is lifted? Like, is there a place you're going to go? Is there a restaurant you're going to binge out on, just to pig out on? Is there a bar? Is there a whatever? Is there a destination you want to go? What's the one thing you're going to do when, just say July 1st, it's over, you're on free reign? What you doing other than work?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I'd love to get to an action, like to a Braves game again or something. Obviously, we don't know. Everything else may open up before we get sports back where we can actually go. Locally, I tell you, man, I would love to just at this point go to like Carolina Ale House or something with the game on and sit back and have a drink and hang out and actually enjoy that atmosphere. You know, I'd like to sit down at a barbecue buffet as well, maybe, and sort of experience that. I don't know, maybe Doc's, which is right down the road from me on Shop Road. You know, I love barbecue anyway. I like everybody's barbecue. Like I'm not a barbecue snob where I like them all. Give me any of the sauces, any of the barbecue restaurants. So probably one of those things, man. I'd love to just sort of enjoy the atmosphere of sitting down at a restaurant because I miss that. And there's something about I like watching games at home too, but there's also something about getting a drink with some friends and watching a game where everybody in the bar is like actually paying attention. It's a big game and you sort of get almost a tailgate atmosphere. So those are probably my two things, man.
Chris, what you doing? What you doing? July 1st, May 1st, whatever. No work, no school, but you got free reign of South Carolina. What are you doing?
Well, I really want to get on the baseball field again with my players. I mean, that's to some might be a boring answer, but I mean, I really like that team concept, being around the kids and watching. But as far as just the social aspect, kind of like Wes, man, nothing other than going down to a place like Doc's or going to L House. I'm not trying to steal his answers here, but I mean, just simple things like that. I mean, I know we get together a lot of times with the boys, and we'll go down to L House. We'll watch an NFL Saturday night. That's one of the things that I know we used to do a lot. Is in January, those playoff games, we would always go somewhere and watch it, even though we didn't have a dog in the fight. But we would watch it, and it's just that atmosphere. But man, I would say just probably just being able to have people again in your home, and just and Wes will tell you, we've had events over here at my house before. Nothing big, just throw the TV on, throw the grill on, and just have a drink, sit back and relax. And I think that's just what I'm going to miss, or excuse me, I'm really looking forward to the most. And obviously, being a big Braves fan, they have a game every night, with the exception of a few Mondays and Thursdays a month. There's a 7 o'clock or 1 o'clock. There's a game on.
Yeah.
And man, you just don't realize how much you miss that was taken away from you. So, we joke about it with Coach Hout and the Flora staff when baseball season starts coming around in the major leagues. I mean, we'll text each other and be like, "Hey, man, we're watching a Mariners Giants spring training game. We don't know a player on the field, but we're getting that itch scratched a little bit." And so, I think that's where all sports guys are. We're just gonna take whatever we can get right now. But man, I'm just looking forward to honestly being around people, being around my friends, and having sports back on. That's definitely all the criteria right there.
I agree with you 100%. That's the thing. We out a lot. I love going downtown. I love home team barbecue, sake to me, whatever. And we still eat some on the curbside, but it's not like going in, spreading out, going to a Mexican restaurant, pounding a couple baskets of chips, a couple Mexican beers, and just the environment, the noise. I love it. All right. So I'm gonna throw out this list before we get into the sports Mount Rushmore's top 3 Little Debbie cakes. Chris, I'm gonna go with you first. What's your top 3 on the Little Debbie? Everybody's got a Little Debbie list. Everybody eats Little Debbies or has or grew up eating Little Debbies. What's your top 3 on your Little Debbie list if you was walking in the store right now?
That's easy for me, man, because I've probably eaten 10,000 Little Debbies in my lifetime. But the golden standard for me, the golden Little Debbie for me, probably is not the popular answer, but the all-time golden one for me is the good old-fashioned Nutty Buddy, because you got 3 things in there. You got chocolate and peanut butter, which can't go wrong with either one of those, and you got that nice crunch to it. And then all you need is the 2 quarters out of the ashtray, grab you a couple pennies, because it's 50 cents, and there you go. That's number 1 for me. Number 2 for me is a lot more calories, but if I'm coming home, I got to have an iced honey bun. I got to zap it in the microwave for 10 seconds, and I'm golden, man. That one you're going to need 3 quarters for, though. I think it's still 3 quarters. Yeah. And then my dark horse is one that's probably not a lot of picks, but I'm a big strawberry shortcake Little Debbie guy, too. That's definitely my number 3. The little roll, yeah, that's my 1.
The roll is underrated, I guarantee it.
It's very underrated. I'm not a zebra cake guy. I'm not, and I might get flack for this, but I'm not a big Christmas tree Little Debbie guy or anything like that. But those 3 right there are definitely my go-tos.
Wes, give them to me.
Yeah,
you're an oatmeal pie guy, I can tell.
No. All right, I'm gonna go in reverse order. This is number 3 mainly because I have to have a number 3. 1 and 2 are by far higher on the list. I had to look up a third one while y'all were talking, but I would say the little cupcake things with the squiggly white icing and the white icing in the middle, but they're chocolate on the outside. Yeah, that's number 3. But I'm gonna go with Payne there. The Nutty Buddy, that thing's up there. That's definitely a favorite of mine. That's probably number 2. But this one, I don't even eat them anymore, my number one, but I think a lot of this is about nostalgia and what you grew up eating as well. And when I was a kid, I would hammer some fudge rounds, man. I would eat fudge rounds all the time as like a snack. So my personal number one is definitely the fudge round.
I'll be honest, man. Growing up, my mom would go shopping once a week, and it was a potpourri of. She'd grab 2 boxes, and it may be fudge round raisin cake, it may be nutty bar Swiss cake roll, it may be the little ones like Chris talked about, the strawberry shortcake, which I still love, and I don't know why they only send them in a single barrel. They only got the single barrel on the strawberry, they got the double barrel on the Swiss. But my favorite, and I don't know if you saw this on the first one I did with Tyler, Kurt had the peanut butter bar, the one that's a bar, it's got the peanut butter in it and it's hard on the outside. That's my personal favorite, but I love a nutty bar. I'll eat a fudge round, but my taste, I think once I hit 40, my taste become an old man. Like I eat slaw now instead of getting extra fries. And so I eat oatmeal pies now. I mean, oatmeal pies used to be my pawpaw, had them sitting on the table. I'm like, nah, give me the chocolate. Now I'll sit back and enjoy an oatmeal pie. You just wait till you're 40. I understand.
Hey, Rhino. I got to throw this in before I forget later. I know you said you eat slaw now. I got a new hot dog for you to try, man, because I know you do your hot dog videos. You got to go to a place called Crave Marketplace. It's right over near Dreer High School. They got the chili, slaw, onion, mustard slaw dogs. Dude, amazing. They're going to be a 5. It's on a 5 scale, right?
I moved it up to it was so many 4.6s that I moved it up to a 10 scale. So
okay.
It's a 9+.
7 for you.
A what?
It's going to be a 9.7.
I ain't got nothing to do this week, man. I'm gonna ride down there tomorrow and I'll get me one of them. So you say a slaw, chili, cheese, ketchup, mustard?
No cheese, I don't think. Just let them do it all the way. But they got I think it's mustard, chili, slaw, onion is what they put on.
Crave. It's on the list. I ain't done a review in a while because I've been sitting at the house. I mean, it's hard to do a Totino's review. I mean, nobody wants to know what my Totino's taste like.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna get into this right here. Mount Rushmore, as a 3 Gamecock fans, what's your Mount Rushmore of moments as a Gamecock fan that you I don't want to hear about George Rogers and I don't want to hear about Kevin Joyce in the old time. As a Gamecock fan, I guess from maybe mid '80s up, what's your Mount Rushmore top 4 moments that you've witnessed as a Gamecock fan? Wes, I'll start with you. I know 4 is probably hard, but then again, we don't have as many memories as a lot of these schools. So give me your 4, all sports, whatever you want.
All right. I'm going to say 4 is the Final Four run for basketball, just in totality, like just enjoying those games and watching them. Actually was with Chris and Bert and all of our buddies for all those games. And that was a fun experience, man. Especially, I know South Carolina was good at basketball like back in the day, but for us, I mean, you ain't seen South Carolina play that well at basketball, and even back then, it wasn't really the same as it is now, where you have a 68 tournament, and you got to make a run and beat a bunch of good teams to get the Final Four, and to beat Duke along the way. That was fun for me, man. I will say 3 is beating Alabama. I think in football, being there for that, great day, game day in the house, incredible, and that led to going to the SEC championship. SEC championship would have been higher if they had played better, but just we're talking moments. I would say that. Number 2, probably winning the national title the first time. The second time was awesome. Opening up, the new stadium and all that was cool. But to close down Rosenblatt, to do it the way they did it, walk off, to have come back from defeat as well. You're almost going home and you beat Oklahoma. A couple of games earlier. Just that whole experience. I sort of like lump all that together. And And actually, man, I would say football just during the run of 11-win seasons, just that entire era was awesome. But to me, it was summed up when South Carolina beat the brakes off of Georgia. I think that was 2012. Ace Sanders' punt return was probably the loudest I've ever heard Williams-Brice. So I sort of sum up what the Spurrier era and what South Carolina football is actually capable of. To me, was like summed up on that night. That was a perfect night, and so I'd go with that as my personal most fun.
Okay, Chris, what you got?
Ironically, the same exact four. Like, not even kidding. Just that 2010 baseball season was just so special, and beating Clemson twice, and just all the things that went. I still think about that play that Wingo made, and Brendan Wynn, not Brendan Wynn, the catcher.
Robert Berry? Was it Berry?
Berry, yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Robert Berry, my former live PD guy. He's making that backhanded play and making that tag. I mean, that was just, you knew then you had that moment. 2010, that was just special. And then obviously the Alabama win with Garcia had his best game as a Gamecock. The 2012 Georgia game I just watched this morning, and I was going to watch it today whether we did this or not. I literally probably watch that game once every 2 months. I'm not from start to finish. And I was telling my wife, Leslie, there's so many, and I know we're going to get to Mount Rushmore in a little bit. There's so many guys on that field at that one time that kind of sums up everything with that Spurrier area. It was just special. And then the Final Four run, like I said, that was something that you just can't wrap your hands around, because it just came out of nowhere. At least with the baseball run, you knew we always had an elite baseball program. In 11, 12, and 13 football, you always knew we had NFL talent on the field. The 2017 run, we just kind of kept going along and became a Cinderella that everyone wrapped their arms around. And I can just remember, and I can't do a Vern Lundquist impression, but I'll never forget right before that Florida game when Vern Lundquist came on and said, "Welcome to the SEC" on CBS. And it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. He was taking his football line that he does at 3:30 on Saturday and saying his football line for the Elite Eight game with Florida. So that was just such a special moment for Gamecock Nation. I mean, me and my wife went down when the team got off the plane at Colonial Life, and we marked out. I mean, we were fanboys and girls. So, and I do want to give an honorable mention. Who cares, right? We don't have a structure here, but I remember, and Wes might have to fact check me, or Rondo, you might have to fact check me. I think when we beat Florida in 2005, Spurrier's first year here, until 2012, when Ace Sanders ran the ball back, until I think, in my opinion, that was the loudest I'd heard that stadium. And there was a personal foul at the end of the game that kind of iced the game for us. I can't recall what the situation was, but I'm going to give that one an honorable mention. Say again, Wes?
I think it was too many men on the field, or they were trying to sub somebody. It was something stupid.
Right. And it was 05, so we were coming off Outback, the biggest at that time. We were coming off, the Outback Bowl wins with Ryan Brewer and all those guys. And I remember being with the guy I was with, and when that flag came, like, hold on, is this real life? I mean, we just beat Florida. I mean, that was how special that was. So I'm gonna give that one an honorable mention, even though. So that's my 5 on Mount Rushmore.
Hey, you can
kick one off your.
You can have a little chisel job on the side of your Mount Rushmore. I'm gonna tell you what mine is, and mine, I'll go with you on the Final Four run, but mine was, I was in Greenville. We bought tickets a year in advance with no idea that South Carolina, North Carolina, and Duke was going to be there. Just hoping to see a March Madness type atmosphere. And we got lucky with all 3 of those being there. And being there with my buddy Kurt, who's a big Duke fan, and we sat there and watched South Carolina beat Duke. And that's kind of like in the football terms of maybe South Carolina beating Alabama, or maybe not somebody as close, but like a Michigan, somebody you don't play as much, and you beat Ohio State, you beat Michigan. And that was a big moment. And I still didn't think we had Final Four, just because that South Carolina team could beat anybody, like most teams, and could lose anybody. And I just didn't know if they had that run in them, and then to go forward to all the way to the Final Four was exciting. Moments I'll go back, and most of mine are football related, but I think it was 95 maybe, or I'm not sure exact, when Quincy Carter came to Williams-Brice Stadium as a Heisman Trophy candidate. And I was in the stadium, and up until that point, we had intercepted him 4 times. So I was in the north end zone. I went to use the bathroom right before the commercial was about to, I guess whatever the break was. And I was using the bathroom. He threw his 5th pick across the middle. And I thought the whole stadium was going to fall on me at the urinal, because I have never heard or felt, and you know, we've all been in Williams-Brice Stadium. We all know when the sandstorm goes, it's rocking, it's moving. But to be up under all of that, I thought it was my last day. But to beat Georgia with Quincy Carter and all that hype, you know, and that was the second week of the season then. So it was kind of a barometer. What was your season going to be? You play Georgia. If you win, you got a chance to win 8, 9 games. If you lose, you don't really know, because next week you play Kentucky or whoever, Vanderbilt. So that was a big moment for me. Also for me, Steve Tannehill signing the Tiger Paw, knocking it out the bat, you know, out of the park when he beat Clemson. That was a big moment. Anytime beating Clemson is a big moment for me, you know, as a rivalry. And as I've grown up, just like I like Slaw, I respect Clemson. I enjoy going to the Death Valley. I enjoy hanging out up there. But beating Clemson is always – it's like a Lugoff guy beating Camden. No matter what, you always want to get that win. That's your rivalry. It feels a lot better when you beat them. And since we haven't done it in a while, it definitely would be nice. And my 4th is – I want to say the year was 1998. I want to say South Carolina, Clemson on the baseball field. South Carolina wins that game. I think the total final score was 38-16. Jamie Poston from Lugoff got the winning. It was the winning pitcher. He gave up 9 runs and still won the game. I think Ryan Bordenick had a couple home runs. It was an onslaught. It was even on Dan Patrick the next day, the line score of, 38 runs, 42 hits, so many walks, errors, extra base hits, RBIs. That game was phenomenal to watch, that you can just pummel somebody in baseball by 20 runs. No run rule, which was great. It just kept on and kept on and kept on. So, but, you know, the championships in Omaha were also they're on there. They're probably actually on the list with this moments. Those were my 4, but those back-to-back championships and almost winning a 3rd. That was such a great run of watching South Carolina baseball. So now we'll go to Mount Rushmore. Your 4 guys, girls, coaches, however you want to do it. Wes, who's your 4 people you're putting on the Mount Rushmore? If you had to put 4 faces of Gamecock athletics over we'll say your lifetime. You don't have to go back and grab anybody, but from what you've seen to now, who's the 4 faces you're putting on this mountain? And it's going to be displayed downtown at the fairgrounds. Your 4 people across all sports.
Coaches and players?
Coaches, players, whoever you want to put up there.
Good Lord. Man. All right. I feel like if you've won a national title in a major sport, you got to be on there. So we got to have Ray Tanner on. And then I think you got to have Dawn Staley. I mean, I feel like I'm going all coaches maybe, guys. I'm going Ray Tanner. I'm going Dawn Staley. And I know not everybody – I think she's made people into women's basketball fans as a sport at the college level that a lot of them maybe weren't before. And she sort of transcends the game a bit. So Ray, Dawn, Steve Spurrier has to be on there. And man, this is tough. If I'm going one, I've got to put one player on there. So I'm going to say those 3 coaches. If I'm going to put one player on, he may have not. I think if you start getting into baseball, you think about Michael Roth, obviously. I don't know if there's a basketball guy that quite is on the level of Michael Roth, but to me, the guy that just epitomizes Gamecocks and Gamecock sports and is everything you want in a South Carolina player for me is Marcus Lattimore. And I know that it wasn't quite the outcome he or everybody else wanted because of the injuries, and there wasn't a championship during that time period, other than the East, if you count it. But to me, Marcus was just as special as you could find on the field, off the field. Leadership ability, was the highly recruited guy. Everybody knew he handled all that pressure better than anybody I've ever seen. You can certainly make a lot of arguments for a lot of people, but for me, I can't make a Mount Rushmore and not have 21 on there. So
Yeah, he's an ambassador for the university too. I mean, he's never been in trouble. He says what he needs to say, and he's respected still. Even though he didn't win a championship, he's still held in high regard, I think.
yeah, so that's mine. You could have made a case for Asia Wilson. I think looking at Dawn versus her, you could make that case, but I think that's my four. I purposely wanted to sort of come up with these on the fly, and that's just the four that my gut feeling that sort of comes to mind.
Okay. What you got, Chris?
Well, I mean, it's definitely difficult whenever you just open it up like that. So I'm gonna make it simple. I'm just gonna pick four from four different sports, and none of them can be coaches because I would agree with Wes. You can't not have Ray Tanner. You can't not have Don Staley. You can't not have Spurrier. So I'm just gonna so I don't mimic what he's doing. I mean, I will agree Lattimore's got to be up there. I mean, just for what he stands for on and off the field, and the adversity that he went through, and the message that he's sending, kids now and youth, and then, I think he's off doing his own thing right now, which he definitely deserves. But I feel he'll be back in garnet and black in a few years once he kind of re-identifies himself a little bit. I got to go with Asia Wilson because, I mean, and I'll be honest, I'm not an expert at all in the game of basketball, much less women's basketball, but she will make you sit down and watch a game. She made me sit down and watch games. And kind of like Marcus, she's just an ambassador to the school and to the community and just playing here. I mean, I compared the other day, I like making analogies. I compared a women's basketball team at USC to the 90s Braves. We're very spoiled right now. We're very spoiled. We fully expect to run the table in the SEC, and the expectation is Final Four, national championship. That's where we are. So yeah, Lattimore, Asia Wilson, and for me personally, from the men's basketball, watching Sindarius Thornwell play was just a phenomenon, especially in that run in 2017. I'm a guy that another local product, being from Lancaster, where my dad lived for so many years. That's a little bit biased there, but just him being able to play all the positions on the court. And then baseball-wise, I mean, that one's probably the hardest one to pick because the pool of talent is so big and so thick. But I think you almost got to go with Roth in there just because he got the ball in his hand and went out and did the complete game. I think it was 5-1 in 2010, and and there's so many more that deserve to be on there. But that to me is the four you got to have. And then I'm also going to chisel another one because I feel bad not even saying this name, and I just watched him this morning. And Wes knows this about me. My favorite defensive player to ever play football at South Carolina was DJ Swearinger. I know we had Clowney. I know we've had a lot of good ones over the years, but watching 36 on the field was some of the most entertaining Saturdays I can remember, because if you literally just watch the play, he's coming in the screen eventually, and he's going to be clapping, and he's going to be talking, and he's going to be near the ball. And, man, it just was so fun to watch him. And watching that 2012 Georgia game back again, he's another one that I'm going to chisel out and make a fifth spot. Definitely those other four deserve it.
Yeah, you got me covered up. I mean, I don't think he could go any other way. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, especially with Dawn and Ray, but Asia Wilson, I'm not sure why there's not a statue out front of Colonial Center with Asia Wilson on there. I mean, I'm not a women's sports advocate, really. I mean, I'll watch if it's on maybe, but to take a team with Dawn Staley and all those other girls and win a national championship in a Power 5 conference and dominate like they did. Asia Wilson deserves it. What you said, Sindarius Stonewall, with the lack of success we've had in college basketball, 2 tournament appearances with Eddie Fogler that both ended in the first round. We don't really have anything to draw from. NITs with Dave Odom, that's not something you really hang your hat on. So I think Sindarius should be on one side. I think Asia should be on the other side of that fountain. Throw Dawn right there behind it, maybe. Of course, Ray catches a lot of heat now for what's going on in the program, but to take over from June Raines in '96 and go straight to starting anew in 2000 to build a powerhouse, and Rolfe, Bradley, Merrifield, Matt Price, all those guys, man, played such a key role. Scott Wingo. It's just so many to choose from in baseball, football as well. You can't go wrong with Lattimore, Swearinger, Clowney, Shaw. There's just so many. It's fun to talk about. But yeah, I believe the Mount Rushmore would have to be like 8 heads or 10 heads if we actually broke it down, because there's so many people,
right.
even way back to Tannehill, and those guys. Even George Rogers, he's got a statue at Williams-Brice. All right, last question. You win the Masters. You can do it one or two ways. I don't know. The guys last night, they wasn't into the Masters. They didn't even understand what was going on. But you win the Masters or you're on death row. Either one, you got your last meal. Now, you can pick and choose from wherever. You can pick and choose from one particular place. What are you sitting down? If you win the Masters and you got to pick the menu for this year's Masters in November, you pick the menu. Wes, go ahead. Give me what's going to be on your menu. Main course, sides, dessert, beverage. What you going with?
God, man, you brought it today, Rano, with these questions.
This is by far the hardest question. This is the most stressful question.
Gee. All right, I got an appetizer. Can I do an appetizer?
Sure. It's yours,
Okay.
man. You got the green jacket. Do what you want.
All right. So this place has been around for a while, but I just recently got introduced to it, and that's the Oyster Bar in Vista.
Mhm.
So I'm actually going there. I'm getting appetizers from there, some raw oysters. That's going to be my app, believe it or not. My entree is going to be a steak. I don't know where I'm going for my steak at this point, guys, to be honest with you. I haven't what's the new place towards downtown that started out in Charleston? That's super expensive.
Hall's Chop House.
Halls, yeah. I've never had Halls, but they say it's the best steak you get here right now. So I love steak. I'm actually going to gamble. I'm assuming someone's going to pay for my meal because I'm either about to die or I just won the green jacket. So I'm going to get.
If you won the Masters, you can afford a $40 steak. I promise you. Just
All right, so there you go. So I'm getting a steak from Halls. I'm going to throw this. Nobody's going to agree with this, but I don't care. It's my meal. I'm actually going to throw an Olive Garden fettuccine Alfredo side on there. I know it might not be real Italian or whatever. I don't care. Whatever they put in the Olive Garden fettuccine Alfredo is amazing.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw that on the side. I'm going to throw one of Tyler Cupp's bacon wrapped jalapenos with the cheese in the middle.
Okay.
On the side as well. And then I'm just going to smash all that. I don't even need another side. And then my dessert is actually going to be – y'all ever been to Zaz on Divine in Columbia?
Oh, yeah.
They got pizza.
Mm-hmm.
They got a peanut butter pie
Yep.
there that is freaking amazing. So I'm honestly, if I eat this meal, I'm going to need about 3 days to recover. But I'm gonna have a big old slice of peanut butter pie with some milk as my dessert. So
Okay.
that's me.
Hey, that's you. Chris Payne, where you going? What you got?
All right, so y'all probably know I'm a big meat and potato guy. So I'm gonna go outside the box. My appetizer is actually going to be a Five Guys cheeseburger. That's going to be my appetizer, and it's going to be all the way. It's going to be all the way, completely done with bacon, the whole nine. That's going to be my appetizer. I'm with Wes. And I really want to find, especially now, the mom and pop steak that I've been looking for. Don't get me wrong, I love a good Texas Roadhouse piece of cow, but a steak that I don't know if is really well known in Columbia, but Kingsman over in West Columbia, they've got one of the more underrated steaks. And I believe there was a report in the state paper a while back, and they might have been number one. But anyway, so a Kingsman steak, big old ribeye, let's just say 16 ounce for fun.
Okay.
Definitely got to have the Texas toast. Us all being from kind of similar areas, I'm probably gonna bring in the Wayback Machine here. But do you remember a steakhouse back in the day called Quincy's?
Mm-hmm.
There was one in Columbia, I think. Yeah, well, that too, but the steak fries from Quincy's is going to be my side.
Okay.
Quincy's steak fries. I've never had a French fry that good in my life. There was one in Lancaster for a while. I think there's one over in Sumter still, or maybe Florence.
Florence.
Yeah. So it's Quincy steak fries, and then my dessert is going to be. And I'm a big ice cream guy. I have a sweet tooth like you wouldn't believe. There's a place about 30 minutes from my wife's hometown up in Michigan called Jackson, Michigan. It's called The Parlor. You basically walk into the 70s when you walk into this place. When you walk in, you have the tune of Happy Days in your head. But they have the best ice cream I've ever tasted. And I'm going to make a sundae with chocolate, hot fudge, strawberry, peanut, the whole nine. That's going to be my dessert if I win the Masters.
Well, Chris, I wish you good luck in November winning the Masters, because you right up my alley with that. And Wes, I'll eat yours too. I'm not knocking it. I'm a meat and potatoes guy. I don't know about that Olive Garden. You got me kind of thrown off with that one. But and I don't drink milk. So if you give me sweet tea, I can go along with you. A man who's got an appetizer of a daggone full hamburger, cheeseburger all the way from Five Guys, I'm gonna have to box up the rest of mine and carry it to the house. But, that's good stuff right there. I'm just going basic. Rodney Scott's barbecue from Charleston, collards, macaroni, beans, pulled pork ribs, banana pudding, and sweet tea. But y'all got it. Y'all went next level, and I believe the patrons at the Augusta National would probably enjoy your meal a lot better. But anyway, I appreciate you guys stopping in. Good conversation. I'll see about getting some of you, either one of you, mix y'all up. Maybe throw Tyler in the mix next time. We do a SummerSlam preview, maybe an NFL draft preview. We'll talk to Wes after the draft to see how many Gamecocks end up going. I know Ken Law is up there projected in near the top 10, but maybe some other guys as well. So thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Good content. You guys always bring it. And I'll talk to y'all soon.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Had fun.